my name is Sophia and welcome to The Show Must Go On. So today I will finally be making part 2 of my season 3 theories for Paramount Plus's School Spirits. So I'm so excited to talk about it once again. I'm sorry there was a little delay for the second part. I got COVID right after filming the first part, and I did edit the first part while I had COVID, but then obviously I couldn't really film, so that's why it's taken a little bit longer, but I'm very excited to get back into it, and without further ado, let's do it. So like I said last time, I'm just going to continue talking about the different characters in the show and basically like what plot lines I think are going to happen with them in season 3. So last time I ended off with Mr. Martin, and now I'm going to talk about Claire. So I definitely think we're going to see Claire grow and change a lot in this season. I mean, of course, we already saw her change a lot last season, but I just feel like we'll see even more of that. And like I said before, it's going to be cool to finally see her and Maddie interact, because we've never really seen that in this show. And it's going to be interesting to see their dynamic and, you know, how they're going to be friends after everything that happened. But I do think they are going to get very close, and I'm really excited to see that friendship because I think it will be really sweet. And I feel like they'll finally be able to, like, talk about ways that they hurt each other and, like, you know, like, just talk through it and finally, like, heal those wounds, you know? And I did say, like, I don't know, maybe she'll start officially dating Diego, Nicole's brother. I know that was kind of like a thing that they kept like hinting at last season. I just don't really care too much for that ship. So I don't know, maybe that will happen, although it is kind of complicated because he is in his first year of college and she's still in high school, so. And I also said I think maybe she'll kind of attempt to become close with her parents again, or kind of like mend that relationship, because obviously in season 2 we learned a lot about how she has a very strained relationship with her parents. Like when she ran away from home and was staying at Nicole's house, like her mom hadn't even called her to ask her where she was or anything in like days, and obviously that was very upsetting. And you know, she just made many comments about her parents, like, being very neglectful and not really caring about her, so obviously that's very sad, but I'm wondering if, once again, just to, like, delve more into her character, if maybe she will try to, like, mend that relationship, or, you know, even if they're not, like, super, like, on super good terms, maybe at least, like, have some sort of reconciliation or something, you know what I mean? So now I'm going to talk about Xavier. So I definitely think, you know, it's going to be like, and honestly same for Claire, like I think it's going to be kind of awkward around Maddie at first, and like I said before, it's going to be so weird to see them together just like as friends and not dating, you know, like the last time we saw them together. But yeah, so obviously I think there's going to be like a little bit of awkwardness in the beginning with like Maddie, Claire, and Xavier because of everything, but you know, I think pretty quickly they'll just, you know, be friends. And, you know, I'm actually very excited to see her and Xavier's friendship, because obviously I, like, don't ship them, like, romantically, and, you know, I just think they just didn't work, but I actually feel like I could see them being, like, having a very good friend dynamic, so I'm actually, like, really excited to see that. And we know that now, you know, there's gonna be something else, like, about him and the way he's gonna communicate with Maddie, because he has seen her dad, so that's gonna be like a big thing, you know, and they're probably definitely gonna like talk about that a lot, and I think that maybe he'll be able to help them communicate with the ghost at the hospital, because of the fact that we know that even though he's, you know, not dead anymore or whatever, he can still see like Maddie's dad or whatever at the hospital, so he could probably see the ghost at the hospital, so maybe he'll be able to help them, you know, like figure out some things about Split River. And then I also just said I wonder if the sheriff, like Xavier's dad, will start to kind of help them a little bit, like with figuring out mysteries of Split River and everything, because of the fact that, you know, they did kind of hint at the end of season 2 that he was like starting to believe what Xavier told him about the ghost thing, because of how Sandra described Maddie as like not like feeling like a different person. So I'm really curious to see like, you know, what they're gonna do with that, because I think that's very interesting, you know, like to have this like, you know, powerful figure in the town like on their side and like maybe helping them figure out some things. And obviously he has like access to like, you know, resources and stuff. And I also wonder if that will also, you know, make him closer with Xavier again, because obviously they've had a pretty like rocky relationship, but I wonder if that will kind of start to mend that relationship a little bit. And then we have Nicole, which I don't really have much on her slide. If you watched my channel before, you know that I'm not the biggest Nicole fan. No hate to the actor, just the character. So I just don't have much about her because I feel like she doesn't do much. I'm sorry. But, you know, I think we're going to see her adjusting to Maddie being back, obviously, and like seeing how their friendship, you know, is different after all this that happened. You know, and I also just think we're going to see her friendships expand with Xavier and Claire. You know, obviously we were starting to see that already at the end of, or throughout season 2. And I even liked when, you know, there was one point where in season 2 where Nicole was like to Claire, like, why aren't you just like with your stupid friends? And then Claire was like, I'm with my stupid friends right now. So obviously, you know, that was like kind of a sweet moment. And like I feel like we sometimes forget that both season 1 and season 2 have only happened over the course of like less than a month. Like it hasn't even been that long. The fact that, you know, not even that long ago she like hated Claire to like literally being kind of like best friends and like doing all this stuff together, like it is a big jump, you know. So it's very interesting to see their friendship grow, and you know, I think we're gonna see a lot of that. I know like it seemed like maybe they were trying to like make there be like a thing with like Xavier and Nicole last season, but I don't know. Personally I really hope they don't do that, because I don't know, I don't ship them like romantically. I don't see them in that way. I mean, I also just feel like it would be weird because it's like Maddie's finally back and then you're like dating her ex right after she got back, and like I know she doesn't like him like that anymore, but like I don't know, I just feel like it's kind of weird, like especially once again considering like how short of a time it's actually been when you think about it. Like, so I don't know, I hope they don't go down that path, but they might, unfortunately. I'm not sure. For Yuri, I just said, you know, kind of like Charlie, you know, once again I just think we're gonna see Yuri and Charlie's relationship expand. And like I said before, with all the ghosts, I think, you know, we're gonna see him really thinking about crossing over. And I think it really will be interesting if we see his scar, because obviously we didn't see his scar in the last season. And I'm also just wondering if, you know, we'll just like talk more about his like anxiety in this season, because obviously that was something they like kind of mentioned, but they didn't go like too in depth with it. I literally can't talk. I feel like that would be interesting to kind of like find out more about him and like delve into that more, because obviously like, you know, a big thing of this show is just like delving into the characters and like their trauma and like the things they went through when they were alive and stuff like that. And obviously that seems to be like his biggest like problem that he dealt with when he was alive. But you know, we didn't get to learn too much of it last season because, you know, there was already a lot of other stuff going on. But in this season, he is being bumped up to being a series regular. So, you know, obviously he's going to have more screen time. And with Quinn also, once again, I just think we're going to see her and Rhonda's friendship expand. And I think we're going to see her maybe like learning to forgive herself, because, you know, we kind of saw in the last season that she said that she felt very like guilty, kind of like she felt like she like put a rift between people like in the marching band and stuff. And she said that like right before they died she was like fighting, like arguing with them like at that time, and then they all ended up dying and being stuck together. So she kind of has this like guilt and stuff. So I think maybe we're gonna see her like forgiving herself, you know, because obviously I think she taught Rhonda a lot about like you know, being kinder to herself and everything. So I feel like it's time for Quinn to finally take her own advice, you know what I mean? And like start to learn that for herself. And of course, once again, you know, her thinking about crossing over. And it will also be interesting to see if we see her scar, because she did talk about it. Like, she did go in it, but we didn't see it. And obviously she did say it was terrible, and obviously I can only imagine with the bus crash and everything, like how horrific that would be. But I wonder if they will show it in this season. I'm not sure. So now I'm talking about Mr. Anderson. So I have grown to like really like Mr. Anderson. Like, I feel like he had such a good arc in season 2, and I'm really excited to see what they do with his character in the next season. I definitely think, you know, we'll see more of his like friendship with Sandra grow. I'm wondering if he will also help them maybe, you know, with some of these mysteries, because he has a very unique perspective, because he also was body snatched and was in the ghost realm for a little bit, and you know, he kind of helped them with their plan with Mr. Martin and everything, and you know, like, he's witnessed all of that, so like obviously he knows all this stuff. So it would be interesting if he, you know, wants to help them at all, because I mean, he literally firsthand experienced it, you know. I also am interested too, because like when he came in to the sheriff's office to like tell him what happened with Maddie, like obviously he was looking all, you know, disheveled because of like what Mr. Martin was doing in his body. And then he's like, by the way, I didn't steal a car. And you know, like, it's funny, but then you're like, but I wonder like what, like how he's gonna actually like explain why he looks like this and why he has Diego's car and everything, like, you know, because like, I don't know. So once again, I'm not sure if it's gonna be the thing where like the sheriff is starting to believe, and then he actually tells him what happened, and like they're kind of working together. And that would be interesting, because you know, obviously so far we've never seen like adults in the real world like knowing about this and like, you know, being able to help like the teenagers or whatever. As for Sandra, you know, I think we're gonna see her work on her addiction a lot and become a better mom to Maddie. And you know, like I said with Maddie, like I just think we're gonna see their relationship change a lot, and hopefully once again they can kind of talk about, you know, their issues that they had and like work through them and stuff. And like I said, we'll probably see her have a closer friendship with Mr. Anderson. I know some people have said like, were they trying to like ship Mr. Anderson and Sandra? Like, I low-key felt that too. Like when I first watched season 2, I was kind of like, is this supposed to be like a thing, or like are they just friends? So I don't know how I would feel about that. Like, I feel like it is like a little weird, because like he was Maddie's teacher, but like he was almost like a father figure to her because of the way he like helped her with like, you know, when her mom got into the car accident. Like I also said before, I do think Maddie will tell Sandra the true story of everything, at least by like the very end of the season. And you know, I think maybe we'll learn more about Sandra's relationship with Maddie's dad, and you know, yeah, like just how their relationship was before he drowned. And then I just had this slide about sheriff, but once again, it's kind of just everything I already said in the Xavier thing. You know, I think he's going to start to believe everything. I think he's going to help them with the mysteries, and I think he's going to maybe grow closer to Xavier and become a better dad. Okay, so now this is something that I'm very excited to talk about. So, okay, because obviously we're all very curious about Mr. South, because, you know, in season 2, we saw that he saw Mr. Martin when Janet was like going into the scar and the veil actually did thin and he was able to see him. So obviously that was very interesting. And then we realized that like back in season 1, Mr. South had made a very cryptic comment to Simon about like, there are scars everywhere in this school and like all this stuff. So that was very like cool to see. But then I was kind of like, oh shoot, like I don't know if he's even gonna be in the next season, because they didn't like list him in like the articles about the casting, even though they listed like a bunch of other people like Mr. Anderson and like blah blah blah. So at first I was like, oh, like is he not gonna be in it? But like I feel like that's such a wasted opportunity. But then the actor who plays him, Peter New, posted a TikTok and it came up on my For You page, and I was like, Oh my god. And it was like this video of like, you know, him as Mr. South on set, and it's like he's like lip syncing to an audio that's like, I'm ready to tell you my secret or something like that. And then it like cuts to like Rhonda and Charlie being like, you know. So, you know, he made this fun little TikTok and I was like, oh my god, like he's back. I have a theory that like after he saw Mr. Martin, he really started to like do research on like the school, maybe even the whole town, and like learned about like all the deaths in the school and like figured out who he saw. Like I wonder if he literally like went back to like deaths in the school and like found out about Mr. Martin and like saw a picture of him and was like, that is literally the guy that I saw. Like I saw a guy that died in 1958. So I definitely think, you know, he knows some stuff, and maybe he even knows some of the stuff that Mr. Martin was hinting about like why so many people die here and everything. So once again, maybe this will be another adult who will help them solve some of the mysteries, because he's kind of seen some of this stuff, and that will be really cool to see. And that's why I also feel so bad for him when he was like, you know, being accused of Maddie's murder in season 1, because like, you know, he probably also, like, as soon as Maddie went missing, he probably like had a feeling that there was something weird and like it could maybe have to do with this ghost situation. So he probably like, you know, was very, I mean, maybe he was even like trying to solve what happened to her like secretly by himself, you know. And once again, just with Diego, maybe he's gonna start dating Claire, and also I guess maybe he'll help them a little bit with the mystery. Okay, so now I've kind of talked about all the characters basically, or you know, the most like relevant ones. So now I'm just going to talk about some other little things that I like have theories about this season, or just other little information we've gotten from the cast or whatever. So first of all, I have so many questions, you know, now that we've kind of seen a little bit of the hospital and how there are ghosts there, like about how this whole, you know, purgatory thing works in Split River. Because my question is, are there scars in every location? Because if there was always, you know, these scars, that is like how they're able to cross over, then why have the ghosts in the hospital not crossed over yet if they don't have, you know, a Mr. Martin sabotaging them, you know? Like, obviously we know that the only reason the ghosts at Split River never figured out about their scars or how they could cross over was because Mr. Martin was purposely not, you know, telling them about them and keeping it hidden from them. But like, if the hospital doesn't have a person like Mr. Martin doing that, then like why have they not crossed over already, you know? I mean, I know it could maybe still be like tricky to like figure out that like in order to like the only way out is through and all that stuff. Like I know you still kind of would have to like figure it out by yourself of like how to cross over, but like obviously it wouldn't be as hard because they would have access to it. Like it's not like Mr. Martin was there keeping their keys from them and everything, you know? And you know, I don't know what the odds are of there just happening to be another person like Mr. Martin there, you know, like keeping their keys from them and everything. So that makes me curious about like, is that how you cross over for everywhere in this town? Or is it like different for each location? Like maybe that's not how they cross over in the hospital. It's like different. Because obviously it's also like, it's not even just like, oh, we only saw like people that look more like modern that are like still there, because like, you know, maybe they still haven't figured out how to cross over yet, but like the really older people, like the people, like the woman that looks like she's from like the 60s or whatever, like you would think those people would have figured out how to cross over by now, you know, like if once again they didn't have a person like Mr. Martin like hiding it from them. So that's why it's a little confusing to me, but you know, I guess we'll find out. Or like I said, you know, maybe they do exist and they do know about them, but they haven't, like, you know, maybe like I said, it's not as easy as just, oh, you just find your scar, go through it, done. Like maybe, you know, the only reason that even worked for the ghosts was because they had done so much work on themselves and like reflecting and working on their unfinished business, and maybe these people at the hospital just haven't gotten there yet, but I don't know. Or maybe some of them are willingly choosing to stay there, but I mean, I don't know why anyone would, but I don't know. And I also have a question, and this is for the school and the hospital, like, will the exit doors disappear, and like how often will they be there? So like, like, if Wally, like, went back in another time, like, could it just, like, not be there? Even though he had just seen it, like, the other day? Like, you know what I mean? Like, is it always there once you know, have worked on yourself and everything? Or, like, does it only come at, like, certain times? You know what I mean? Because maybe that's also why some of the people at the hospital are still there, because maybe it's, like, actually harder than we think for the door to actually appear, you know what I mean? And then, yeah, like, how often will it be there? Like, is it the type of thing, like I said, where, like, it only shows up, like, every once in a while, and, like, it's kind of unpredictable? Or, I don't know. Like, same thing with Janet. Like, if she went back in, like, would it still be there or not? Okay, so now I also want to talk a little bit about the river Styx. So obviously we've all, you know, realized, and they've basically shown us in the last season, that, you know, the whole, like, Split River is kind of like a play on the river Styx, which is, in Greek mythology, it is a river that separates the living and the dead. And if someone could not pay a price to the ferryman, they would be stuck there at the river forever. So they would just be stuck there, like a purgatory. So, you know, stuck at the river, Split River, you know, they're stuck in this purgatory. I said it could represent the scars, and like instead of if you couldn't pay a price to the ferryman, it's like if you can't go through your scar and find your door, then you're stuck. So that's maybe what it could kind of represent. It also said that in this mythology, those who made it to the afterlife and had good souls would be sent to be reincarnated. So that is kind of interesting to me, because I'm wondering, like, I mean, because there's so many ways they can, like, go about this, you know, in this show, because, you know, like, it's paranormal, like, they can kind of do whatever they want. There's so many different avenues they could go in, but I am very curious to see if they would ever take the route of, like, reincarnation or whatever. Like, I know it, you know, can be very, like, it's a big topic to try to, like, tackle that or whatever, but it would be interesting if they kind of did that, because, like, I don't know, like, maybe it would be interesting to, because obviously we know, you know, like, we saw Dawn crossed over, we saw her door glowing, we heard her, like, laugh and stuff, but obviously we don't actually know yet, like, what happens when you cross over. Like, you know, it's kind of just supposed to be, like, up for interpretation. I'm wondering, like, it would be kind of interesting if they made it where, like, when you cross over, once again, like I said, if you have, like, a good soul or whatever, you are actually reincarnated and then you get to live again. I don't know, but that would be very interesting, because I did notice that that was something with the River Styx mythology, so I don't know. I also have a question of, will the ghost be able to leave the school? So people have kind of pointed out, like, if Simon can go in, what's saying that the ghost couldn't at least leave the school, kind of like Janet theorized? Because she had a theory, you know, with the whole trauma is energy thing, that if enough, you know, enough of them, like, were all in their scars, and, like, so much trauma was, you know, happening at once, that it would, like, thin the veil, and then maybe, she said, maybe it would even break the entire, like, electromagnetic barrier that was, like, keeping them in the school, and then maybe they would be able to, like, at least leave the school. Like, they would still be ghosts or whatever, but they could at least go other places. So that's very interesting to me, because first of all, I feel like they wouldn't have, like, mentioned her saying that unless it did kind of have a meaning, you know, because obviously, you know, they ended up realizing that there actually was a way to cross over, not just, like, only being able to leave the school, but still being, like, a ghost, you know. But she didn't know that at that time, you know. But, like, if a living person can get stuck in the ghost realm when the veil is so thinned, then once again, what's to say that the ghost couldn't leave the school when it's that thinned? Because another weird thing that happened is when Maddie, you know, right before she got body snatched by Janet, she could see and hear them even though she was still alive. So it's almost like if Janet hadn't immediately run into her and body snatched her, like, if she had walked into that room, maybe she would have just been put into the ghost realm without Janet even body snatching her. Or even like when Mr. South saw Mr. Martin, maybe once again, if he had just taken a little bit more steps into the room, maybe he would have been stuck in the ghost realm, you know? So, and obviously, like, we don't know for sure, like, it might be possible because obviously, you know, we saw them the next day, the ghosts, you know, just being in the school. But, you know, why would they think to try to leave, you know? Like, they're so used to trying to leave and then being sucked back in. But, like, maybe if they had tried, they would have been able to leave because of how thin the veil was. And, you know, we saw the school was all red and, you know, everything. It was crazy. So I don't know. I'm actually really thinking this might happen in this season because I also feel like that would help like further the story a little bit, because like if the ghosts could go to other locations, then they could also like figure out more stuff about the town and everything, and they could like if Maddie could still see them, but they could like go to other locations with her and still be communicating with her outside of the school, which would obviously like broaden their horizons. So from Christian Ventura, the actor who plays Simon, he, you know, has been making kind of a lot of like TikToks and Instagram posts this season. And we've seen that, well, first of all, he has shown that he has a stunt double, which is very interesting, obviously, because that means that Simon is gonna, I don't know, be doing some crazy physical stuff that requires a stunt double. And then also we can see in these TikToks that he has like a cast or like a bandage around one of his hands. Simon, what are you doing? Like, why does he have a stunt double and have a bandage on his hand? Like, is he gonna like punch Mr. Martin in the face? Like, what is going to happen? And then the final thing I kind of have to talk about is that we've also seen hints from Instagram from Kira Pichardo, who plays Nicole, and Jennifer Tilly, who plays the new superintendent. They've posted on Instagram these pictures of there being like a fall festival in one of the episodes. So you can see some of these pictures, and once again, oh my god, it's so weird to see Maddie just in like a different outfit, and like, I don't like it. But anyways, so obviously we see, you know, Jennifer Tilly, and once again, now I am more thinking that she's just a modern day superintendent and not from the past, because I feel like this outfit, I don't know, I just feel like she is, you know, in the present. Because also, if she's at this festival, then, you know, I'm pretty sure this is present day. We see, there's this picture of Nicole is like holding this telephone, and there's like a flyer on the table. Sorry, I'm literally holding my laptop upside down so I can read it. That says, "Let's talk about local history, Split River." I think it says Historical Society, new members welcome. I'm like trying so hard to like read more of that, but like I can't see it. But so that's very interesting to me, because I do wonder if, you know, maybe they'll learn some things about the history of the town through this festival. And also we did also get this picture of Jennifer Tilly with Erica Swayze, who plays one of the, I think her name's Livia, one of the new characters that we have. So I don't know, I just thought that was cool because we haven't really seen any like pictures of her in costume or whatever. And once again, she looks very modern. So like I said, I think she's just gonna be like a new living person.
Hi everyone, Future Sophia here. Basically, we got some new information since I filmed this video, but I am sick right now. You can probably kind of hear it in my voice, so that's why I'm just doing this voiceover to show you the new information instead of filming a new clip. First of all, we have seen that Nick Pugliese, who plays Charlie, and Miles Elliott have posted that they also have stunt doubles. So that is very interesting. And Jennifer Tilly, who plays the new superintendent, also has a stunt double, which she shared on Instagram. So this is baffling to me. I have no idea why every single character seems to have a stunt double. We also got this photo of Milo with this kid. I'm sorry, I don't actually know the name of the actor. I didn't see it where I got this picture from, but basically he's with this kid actor, and obviously we don't know who this kid is yet, but some people have been theorizing that maybe this is like a younger version of Principal Hartman. He is kind of dressed like him, so maybe, I don't know, but like maybe we'll see flashbacks. of the principal for some reason, but I honestly have no clue. But we also see from this photo that Milo not only seems to be wearing, his usual little necklace that he's always worn since the beginning, but he also seems to be wearing Maddie's necklace that she got from her dad. So that is very interesting because I don't know why he would be wearing it, and people have been wondering if, maybe she gave it to him before she left, although I don't know why we wouldn't have seen that in the last episode. Or maybe they made a version of it that didn't reset because we know that Janet is able to do that, so maybe she did that for him as a way for him to, like, keepsake of Maddie. We also got this picture of the superintendent with Principal Hartman, and if you can look at the paper he's holding, it says Split River Laws and Bylaws, so it almost looks like they're in some sort of, like, court situation, I don't know, but we can also see in the background that Maddie and Xavier are there too, so I have no idea what's happening there, but obviously I think it's, factoring into us just finding out more about this town in general. Jennifer Tilly also posted this photo where she seems to be with two people dressed as firemen, and the caption says false alarm. And then also those, like, someone dressed as a fireman seems to be in the background of the picture that she had with her body double. So I guess there's gonna be like a fire alarm going off or for some reason in this season. I don't know why, but it's just another piece of information we got. And finally, we got these two pictures of Jennifer Tilly with Erica Swayze, who plays this new character named Livia. And we see that, first of all, there's this picture of them in, like, a pumpkin patch at night. So, I mean, I love the vibe of this. Like I said, I would love if they have, like, kind of a Halloween episode or, like, I just love the spooky fall vibes of this show, so I'm very excited to see that, but I don't know what the context is going to be. And then we also see this Instagram post where Jennifer Tilly is with Erica Swayze, and she said, like mother, like daughter. So she did reveal to us that Livia is going to be the superintendent's daughter. So that's very interesting. So that does kind of back up my theory that I thought that, like, Livia was going to be, like, a present-day girl. And, Livia does seem to be very, like, dressed very, like, preppy and stuff like her mom, so I do get the vibe that she's gonna be kind of like a mean girl, at least maybe in the beginning. Maybe she'll change, I don't know. That's the new information we got.
So that's basically all I have to say about my theories about season 3 of School Spirits. I'm so excited for it. And once again, put any of your comments down below if you have any thoughts about what I talked about today, and if you have your own theories that I didn't talk about. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!